why you have come down here today.
I've come down here with a number of our activists simply to film a video in support of the Millwall fans that booed that embarrassing and cringeworthy display that took place behind us in the stadium yesterday. You know, Black Lives Matter is not just a slogan. Look past the slogan. They want to defund the police. They're against family values. They want to end free enterprise and capitalism, all the things that make this country prosperous and great. They're a communist, Marxist organisation. And they seem to blame white people for every single problem that exists in this world. And people are seeing past this. They vandalised the statue of Winston Churchill. They set fire, or tried setting fire, to the cenotaph. These people hate our country, our way of life. And yet, football players are being bullied into getting on their knees for such an organisation. It's a scandal.
Now, the impression that I get is that they're not being bullied. This is something that they want to do. And actually, they would argue that a lot of what you said isn't correct, that it's actually about trying to show support for a movement against racial discrimination. Isn't that something that they have a right to do?
Well, of course, they've got a right to do it. But look, if they don't do it, they're going to come under a lot of hostility and pressure. And look, Black Lives Matter, what has destroying family values got to do with racial justice, as you just said? What has ending capitalism or all these other different things got to do with racial justice? It's a nonsense. This is a communist organisation, a communist movement that hates this country, that hates America. We've seen them wrecking small businesses across America, burning cities down to the ground, setting up zones where they're just turning to filth and squalor. You know, this is a disgrace.
But what those players would be saying is that they're not there supporting those things. They are there supporting equality and an end to racial discrimination, and everyone to have a fair crack of the whip.
Okay, so why didn't they take the knee when Lee Rigby was killed? Why didn't they take the knee when Charlene Downs was killed? Why didn't they take the knee when Chris Donald was killed? No, it's very selective. A convicted, drug-abusing, armed robber 4,000 miles away, yeah, we'll take the knee for him. Politics shouldn't be brought into football or sports. It's in family TV now, like Britain's Got Talent, and it's just, they're just pushing this anti-British, anti-white, communist agenda into every area of society. It's brainwashing. It's designed to make us feel guilty.
What do you think they should have done then? What's wrong with the people kneeling? How do you justify booing them?
Because, like I just said, you're getting down on one knee in support of a movement that vandalised the statue of Winston Churchill, that's been toppling statues of British history, that tried to set fire to the cenotaph, and that basically wants to put certain victims of crime, just certain victims of crime, up on a pedestal and to the top of the agenda just because of their race. That is disgraceful. And just to see all these football players, and they know if they don't take the knee, they're going to be subjected to hostility from all sections of the establishment, the media, the fake news media. So if they don't get down on one knee, they're just going to get an absolute storm of abuse directed at them.
Now, you're talking about what your perspective of Black Lives Matter as a movement is. What do you think about the fact of racial discrimination? Is it something that the players should be standing up against?
Absolutely. We all agree on that. But
what do you agree on? Tell me in words. What is it that we all agree
right,
on?
Look, we live in a country where you have Black History Month. You have the Mobile Awards, yeah, music of black origin. You have all these different things that are pushed relentlessly by the government, by the state, by the education system in this country. You know, black people are not second-class citizens in this country. The government, the establishment, everything in this country, the media bends over backwards to appease every single complaint that they have. Okay, but yet we live in a country where British history is not really taught in schools, where if you stand up in public or in politics and say you are really proud to be British, you want to preserve this country, you're called a racist. So if anyone's oppressed in this country, it's us, the British people.
So what do you think should be happening then when we're seeing the badges on the players' kits against racism? You're seeing actions like this on a pitch. What do you think should be happening to address what you say is an issue, racism?
You know, I've seen posts from Millwall supporters all across social media, and they all say, look, Millwall's had a lot of black players that they've taken into their hearts over the years. It's nothing to do with race. What it's to do with is getting down like an embarrassing display of subjugation to a movement which specifically is against our country and has shown itself to be nothing more than a bunch of hooligans and vandals and anarchists who hate this country. And you'd have to be living with your eyes closed not to have seen this. They vandalised Winston Churchill. They set fire to the cenotaph. You know, they're just two examples of this widespread hate towards our own country.
But what's quite clear, though, just as finally, I mean, that is a minority of people who are knocking over statues, aren't there? And what's quite clear when you look at these protests is it's not all black faces in the crowds. There's plenty of people from all backgrounds.
No, white liberals who've got a lot of self-loathing. They don't like, they're ashamed to be white, they're ashamed to be British. Yeah, of course they will join in with this chorus, this circus of self-loathing that's being pushed on us, a daily diet of, if you're British, if you're white, you should be ashamed because of something that happened 4,000 miles away in Minneapolis. I mean, for heaven's sake, George Floyd was a convicted armed robber and drug abuser, and at least two of the police officers that arrested him that day weren't even white. So what, this is all contrived. It's a deliberate, calculated attempt to try and instill massive amounts of white guilt in the British population and the Americans and so on. This is the left of politics on the offensive.
Okay, thank you very much.